Some other things about them. They, as I mentioned, it was Winston Smith's job to constantly be revising histories. Well, they sought to eliminate history and constantly correct it, and everybody was supposed to be good with it. This, of course, reminds me of the 1619 project that has found a lot of acceptance today, where people want to paint America as bad and evil. This is not the first effort to paint America's history as being evil and bad. The history book of about 30 or 40 years ago by a man whose first name begins with a Z, I forget his name, was the main beginning of this. But another thing that happens today that goes right along with 1984 is the destruction of inscriptions and statues. So if you can destroy statues and other relics and evidence of what happened historically, then you can change history, and by changing history, control the people better. Another thing that's going on, it was going on in 1984, was their control of the language. They had a new language, we called it Newspeak. They were constantly eliminating certain words and adding new words. And the whole purpose of this, again, was to control the thoughts and actions of the people. And of course, recently we have the example of, with the transgenders, you have to, in some places, if you don't find out whether this person is a him, a her, a them, or an it, and you happen to refer to them the wrong way, you could be punished at school, or in some places it could even be a crime. I've heard that it could be a crime in Canada. With Trudeau up there, I wouldn't be surprised. Another element, capitalism was denigrated and abolished. And so, of course, and the main thing they would describe in capitalism was you had a few rich people that owned property, but in the economic system of 1984, all the property was owned by the party. And of course, what this meant was you still got 85% of the people that are poor, but you had a few of the uppers in the party who got more property than others, because they acknowledge in this book, it really is impossible to have equality of everything. And so what you have in this totalitarian socialism is just the elite, so to speak, having property. Another element that was present was keeping people on the brink of hardship. And not only were the poor really poor, but even among the upper people, they were always having a hard time getting, like, razor blades was one thing, and different things. They didn't have good tobacco, and they didn't have drinks, and what they ate was a meager and less than quality thing. That many parts in the book described how, again, meager and not great it was. But keeping people on the brink of hardship, they found helped them to exercise control over the people as they addressed these problems. And the government, again, was the solution to these. And so everybody had to be on board in helping the government, even though the government was using this to just stay in power. Right? There's two or three more elements here. Ignorance and stupidity. The power and stability of the government in 1984 was dependent upon the people being ignorant of things, ignorant of the history, and stupid, and not challenging things. They needed to be deceived, and as our main character illustrated, hey, if you're smart enough to see the hypocrisy and inconsistencies, then you're better off just ignoring it and not fighting. But the prevalence of the ignorance and the need for continual deception was key. Anyway, finally, the one of the main principles is the people aren't able to govern themselves. And this totalitarian government in 1984 could. Now, before Winston dies, in his book, he kind of expresses the thought that he doesn't think a government can survive that is not founded on truth and love and good principles. And then he dies, and so he doesn't know. So that's a summary kind of what's in 1984. And again, as I said, it's uncanny to see how many of these philosophies and principles are part of the Biden administration approach to government. And 1984 is not a perfect fit for what the Biden administration does. There are some significant differences. The Biden administration continues to claim that it seeks the truth, but it keeps going astray here and there. Well, I hope this discussion is helpful to you. Remember, the liberties we enjoy in America can be maintained only when its citizens are moral and informed participants in the democratic processes. I think the closing argument can help all of you with this, and I invite you to visit my website where I've written some books that I think can be helpful on these subjects. That is www.cpaulsmith.com. We'll see you next time. Take care.